Bill, we just finished the second day of the LTP alumni gathering or reunion. We had a chance to meet in real life some of your elder or previous sessions participants. And for me, it was a very good moment because I really got a sense of building a community. It's quite different to exchange over the internet per mail or whatever, and having people live in the room, in the restaurant, sharing time with them. It was really great.
Yes, and I think that I was surprised to find that that was probably the key takeaway that I had as well. We had a fairly intensive agenda planned, but I found it heartwarming that a bunch of people who were strangers, basically, to one another, came together, and at the end we left close friends. Well, maybe not close yet, but that can come. And this is really interesting. Now, I have to credit Philip with the idea for this session, for putting together a group where we can bring people back from previous courses. And we had one from 2013 in Luxembourg, two from 2014 in Luxembourg, and then we had one from 2015 here in Paris. And then there was, of course, yourself and Philip, and that was from 2015. And then we had one additional person who was an invited observer. And it worked out, I thought, very nicely. We were all friends and joking together by the time the whole thing was done. And I think everybody got something out of it. What I got out of it was the importance of having people be able to talk with other people who have applied the method and find out how they did it, what challenges they ran into, what successes they had, and in some cases, what they had to do to overcome some of the challenges and obstacles. That was really, really important.
So we shared, we took time to share our stories, and this opportunity to hear from each other was really important because, well, this is real life, and as you mentioned, what kind of problems we can face when trying to get the logical trees or the logical thinking process applied. So it was really interesting for everybody. I believe a big share of the value was through this exchange. And also we spent some time deepening our knowledge under your direction, which we have chosen, or you have proposed, the current reality tree, and you got us through an exercise which was a thorough building of a current reality tree, and even those familiar with the tool had some takeaways because, well, it was a kind of a new approach you developed, right?
That's true. It is, and there were two things that were a little bit unique about it. The first had to do with the mode of presentation. I started with a fairly complex case study that took 13 pages of text to describe and another 20 pages of illustrations and exhibits to convey the message. And rather than have people struggle through the exercise on their own, we gathered together in a group, and I facilitated the group. I had some of the folks reading the checklist. Some of the folks were writing down the slips for me, and I would just lead the discussion. They would provide me with the slips. I would put it up on the wall. They would actually apply the new learning on how to structure closer, tighter connections. And we ended up with a really tight tree. I think it's about 15 layers of cause and effect that unfolded in this case in about 45 seconds. And it was important to really know and understand how that happened. That was probably the biggest takeaway, was that these participants finally got a look at what a really tight, close, logical tree looked like and how to build it. And I think they all left understanding what to do with it.
Absolutely. And I noticed also that during this exercise, of course, the aim was to get tighter logic, but we also could see the people honing their ability to have the reservation raised.
Yes.
So we had some very good inputs, or
We
some
did.
people questioning the reality of the relationship and the logic of it. So
Yeah.
it was really good exercise.
It did. It was, and it worked very well. And as a result, we discussed this as a group afterwards and came to the conclusion that when we do this again in the future, we're going to go back and reinforce the use of a different tool, either an evaporating cloud or a gold tree or a future reality tree or a negative branch or something like that. And we'll go back and do the same kind of an exercise so that people who went through the course at some time in the past and have not actually had an opportunity to practice it very much can have their learning reinforced in a controlled setting where they feel free and comfortable to ask questions and have their questions answered. So it's not so much updating their knowledge as it is reinforcing it.
Absolutely. And well, with the, let's say, the encouragement of the participants, we decided to get ahead and to multiply these reunions. So we have to define the schedule, but anyway, there will be more in the future, and we will advertise ahead of time, so we can have people coming from all over the places have an opportunity to participate, right?
I think that's yes, that's great, and that was an important takeaway from the feedback that we got. I believe that that makes it incumbent upon us now to create agendas for these future events that are attractive enough that people will say, I think I want to go to that because I think I might get something out of it that I don't have that I could very well use.
Yeah. So, looking forward for the next.
I am indeed, and let's go do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.